I'd love to do, I'm recording the webinar now.
Okay.
Stop. Yep. Now recording. Okay. I lost my train of thought.
Well,
maybe some Q&A, and then Q&A, after everything has gone live in Facebook, if people have stuff they want to.
Questions they want to ask and stuff.
Yeah, because they'll have questions.
Yeah.
People always have questions. And we need to promote the summit. So I'm going to pull up my notes. And then I will go live. There's so many buttons in here, April. There's just so many buttons.
It's a full service. It's a really good product, though, I think.
It's a really good product. Yeah, I'm impressed with it. I mean, I tried a few other things, and I kept coming back to Big Marker, and I was really, really psyched about how it all went down with your conference. So,
and they typically have a Black Friday deal where you can get a lifetime. So I got mine lifetime for $600.
What?
500 attendees, and if they have it again this Black Friday, I'm going to up it as much as I can afford. Yeah.
All right, attendees are coming in. I'm going to remember to hit the go live button.
Yeah, and we can trim this part out. Big Marker has a thing where you can trim too.
Cool. All right. I'm not sure if anyone is in here yet, but I'm going to go live in the group. Publish to Facebook. Here we go.
Hey, Erica, Melissa, Lori.
Hi, everybody. Hey. I'm just doing my Facebook Live thing here so that I don't space it out. April, Wier is live.
It's true.
It's true. She's so live. Look at that. All right. Going live. Oh, sure. I'll add a title. Jeez Louise. Yes. Title. Creating a content calendar.
So we might actually get some people in here who haven't seen this before.
Yeah, so Sam is here. Sam is in my BNI group. Melissa Thomas, hello. Erica, hey. Lori Newman. All right. Hi. Yay. It's so nice to see you guys. I'm glad you're here. And of course, we have the lovely April Wier. She is here today. Hello. April, well, first I want to say happy Friday to everyone, whatever that even means. Does it even matter that it's Friday anymore?
It's Friday?
It's like, what does it? One day just bleeds into the next. Thank you for setting time aside, everybody. My plan is to host one of these every single week into the foreseeable future to help you guys really go after your goals. And so you're ready to kill it once the pandemic clears. I'm here to support you. I want to teach you guys some stuff and bring in experts like April, who gives kick-ass presentations, and she's a lovely human to boot. She is owner of Sugar 5 Design. She's an entrepreneur, a mother, and an amazing speaker. She's also a WordCamp organizer and founder of Remote Control Summit, which is a virtual conference series that she's pulled together on her own, by the way, to step into the void of canceled WordCamps around the world. For you guys who aren't aware, WordCamps are WordPress-specific conferences that happen all over the world throughout the year. And a lot of us are missing that right now. Hi, Bobby. And her next conference is on Saturday, May 2nd. It's completely free, and it's going to be chock full of good stuff. So look out. I'll be putting more stuff in the group around that conference. And just as a side note, we're going to have questions at the end, a little bit of Q&A. So if you have things that you want to ask April, please stick those in the chat for those of you in the actual webinar room, and we will do our best to get to those questions. For those of you in Facebook Live today, you are also welcome to leave questions, that we will probably answer those later because I cannot multitask. So that's where we're at. Okay, so without further ado, I present to you April Wier. Take it away, April.
Hi, how are you today? I'm so happy to be here, and thank you so much for mentioning Remote Control Live. We're really excited about that. We can never really replace WordCamps, but what we do want is kind of step in the void and give us a little some stepping stones until WordCamps come back. And while I am pulling the levers all by myself, the speakers are really the ones that make it worth showing up for. So just like to give them a shout out and not take anything away from them. Any questions before I get started, Terry? You want me to just jump right in?
You can just get started there, sister. Just jump right in.
Well, today we're going to be talking about content, and we've all heard about how content is king. And, you know, I like to say content is king, but sometimes mine looks like the jester. And I didn't like that. I didn't like feeling like my content was embarrassing and maybe I didn't have a plan. And so I created this system to help myself because I really struggle with this. And I still don't do it perfectly. But this system has helped a lot of other people get their content in order. And it's really, it gives you step by step to kind of reduce the overwhelm and make it manageable. Okay. Content is king, right? So everything flows from content. While nothing happens until somebody sells something, so sales are really important. Content helps us bridge the gap between what we have to offer and what the person needs so that we can get to the point where we can sell something. So what type of content do you produce? If you're here, just put in the chat what all the different types of content that you make, right? So, Bobby, what kind of content do you make? Blog posts, Tara says. Facebook posts, Sam says. Trisha, I know personally makes a lot of content. Social media posts, emails, blogs. Tara says Instagram posts. Bobby, webinars, just like this. This is content. Newsletters, right? All of these are really great. So as you can see here, yes, video, phone. Oh my God, phone calls. So I guess you could call it phone call scripts, blog posts, mostly aspirational. Yeah. So we all make a lot of content, or we think we should be making a lot of content, right? So I don't know if you've ever had content guilt, but I certainly have, where I knew that I had some information that could be shared with others. But because my content's not in order, I can't help those people. And that's right there. Yeah, right there with mama guilt is content guilt. And we want to try to do away with that. Okay. So have you ever heard of content clusters? What are content clusters? Content clusters are a way of structuring your content on your site to get maximum impact. So the folks at HubSpot did some research. They did a case study on the optimal site structure, that you could have the optimal way to structure your content on your site so that you optimize search engines, you reach more people, and your content has the highest effect. So what they found was this thing called content clusters here. And if you see each one of these clusters in the center, there's that big solid dot. So what these big solid dots represent are the main thoughts of your website, right? So if you are like me, a web designer, this might be your service offerings. For me, it might look like web design, content strategy, search engine optimization, consulting, right? So that might be one way for me to organize the content on my site. For let's say someone who's a nonprofit, that might look like the different charities that you support, or the different causes that you're interacting with, or it might be your strategic partners. So only you can determine like what are the main big thoughts of your website and how you want to, how you want to organize that. But once you've decided on that, here in the middle, that solid dot, each one of those thoughts, that is going to represent what we call a pillar post. And a pillar post is like the exhaustive, ultimate guide to, the best on the planet. You've heard like these guides being called things like that. So what you want is like all of your main thoughts about this topic is going to go on this pillar page. And it's going to be everything you know about this topic. Okay. Now that sounds really intimidating. And to me, to write the ultimate guide to web design seems really, really intimidating, right? So, which is probably why I haven't done it. So we're going to go through this process, and we're going to actually go through the entire process at the end with somebody. But so we're going to reverse engineer building this pillar post. Okay. So how are we going to do that? We're going to create all these, see all the little circles that go around that hub. Each one of those are different pieces of content that are going to link back to that pillar post and give it strength, because this is the post that we're going to push. And when we are trying to get backlinks, we're going to try to get them to that pillar post. When we are linking to something in another piece of content, like if I'm writing a guest post for somebody else, I'm linking back here. And so each one of these pieces of content, and let's remember what kinds of pieces of content there are. Like we can have video, we can have blog posts, we can have podcasts and webinars, and all of these types of pieces of content that we can have that are going to link back to this piece of content. Okay, so let's reverse engineer that. And one of the ways I do that is by themes and micro themes. So I'm a member of a group called WP Elevation. And in WP Elevation, we have the way that they present their content is through themes, right? So every month we have a theme. It might be grow, elevate, profit, or sprint. So I've kind of adopted this in my own content and in the content of my clients, because I feel like if we are going to all write about a common theme, it makes it easier to share content between each other. So if I'm talking about growth and Tara's talking about growth and Bobby and Trisha are talking about growth, and we're all talking about it in different ways, but it's going to be easier for us to share each other's content and it be applicable to the conversation we're already having with our own audiences, right? So I believe for this presentation, we're going to assume that sprint is our theme, and sprinting is like kind of pulling things together, tying things off in a knot. So I like to pair that micro theme with a micro theme that's personal to me, because I'm more than a little narcissistic. And if there's not anything in it for me, I'm not really as interested. And so when I'm writing, I really like to kind of almost like work my own issues out through my writing. So what I do is I made a list of all the things that I'm working on personally. And so here's just a small list of, things that I'm working on. I kid around and say I'm less of a person than a list of character flaws, but, we're working on them. So I take, all this list, and I think, if I'm talking about tying, loose ends together, and I'm talking about, I'm trying to pair that with something that's meaningful to me, what does that look like? And so with our micro theme of sprinting, I paired it with emotional management. So something that I'm constantly working on, because I'm kind of a slave to my emotions a little bit, and I don't really like that. So that's what I'm working on. I'm gonna work through this. But what's a theme that I could write about that is going to pair tying up loose ends and managing my emotions at the same time? And so I came up with this idea called the middle miles. People really struggle when they're in a startup. It's real that, you struggle at all phases of building your business. But when you're in a startup, at least you have the excitement and the encouragement, and your community is all about it, and they're like patting you on the back, and you've got all of this buzz around you that's kind of sustaining you through that. But that doesn't last forever. And you get to the point in your startup where you're not really a kid anymore, and it's not as fun, and you haven't reached your main goals yet, but all that encouragement has kind of gone away. And so this is what you call the middle miles. And this can be a real opportunity for a business to fail, because the leader has kind of lost their ability to manage their negative emotions around how hard it is, how much time they're having to spend on it, the things that they're sacrificing, the lack of encouragement for others. And it's kind of a letdown after the high of being, your early year startup. So that's what we're going to address in this theme for the month, the middle miles. Okay. So how do you just get started by writing about the middle miles? That even in itself, now that we have a theme, it's still kind of overwhelming. So I came up with this kind of group of questions that we could ask, or, ways to interact with this theme that would make it easy for us. All right. So here are the content starters. What? What is the theme? Why? Why is the theme important? Who, not how? How can you specifically help your clients with this? Engage. How do I bring somebody else in to talk about this? A personal insight or rant. This is where you kind of want to be a little edgy or controversial. And listicles and rants. Who's already having this conversation that you can pull bits and pieces together to make this, to make a piece of content. So going through, we're going to go through these one at a time, with the middle miles as kind of an example. So what is it? What are the startup middle miles? Okay. So that would be a piece of content where you just start right off just explaining, have you ever heard of the middle miles? And why is this a difficult time in an entrepreneur's life? And then you just kind of talk about it. And then you say, why? Why do we even care about the middle miles, right? So why are the middle miles so tricky? And what are some things that we can do to address that? Then we say how to, right? So a how to would be, how do we address in a deeper way the issues that we brought up in the what and the why, right? So how do we survive the middle miles? And this is a great opportunity to make an infographic. Infographics are great for how-tos. And so maybe you have a great, a great graphic design resource, like maybe our friend Tara here. And, you could send some of your content and have an infographic made. So that's one piece of content. Maybe you can engage your community. I used to be an ambassador with SiteGround, and this is one of the things that they were really good at, using their ambassadors. So they would get quotes from their ambassadors, have their ambassadors write content for them. But maybe that one way to do this, and sticking with our theme, would be reaching out to other entrepreneurs and asking them for a quote. How did you manage the emotional drain that followed the startup years, right? And honestly, you'll probably get some response, because it's kind of a provocative but yet personal question, but people want to be helpful. Now, not everybody's going to respond, but all you need are a couple of people to interact with you to make your content to start come alive. Okay. I really like this because I like being provocative. This would be your personal insight, rant, or opposite view. So instead of encouraging people, you might want to take the stance that, hey, maybe it's time to give up. Like, when would it be time to give up? If somebody emailed me and said, it might be time to give up, I'd be like aggressively opening that just to tell them how they were wrong. And this is not to discourage somebody, but it's to say, maybe you're not on the right path. If you're still struggling and you're not finding personal meaning in your work, and you've really done the work to find that, maybe we need a course correction, and there's something you've been avoiding that really is your life calling. Let's get on to that path. So you spin it to be positive, but you want to be a little provocative. These are really great for emails, Facebook posts, LinkedIn. LinkedIn's really hot right now, and people are being really provocative there. But you don't want to overdo it, right? So you just kind of want to have this one little provocative piece in a sea of positivity. Listicles and roundups. So, we have already pulled in some of these founders, but maybe they didn't all, maybe you've got a lot of answers, or maybe you want to reach out to a different set. And you say, hey, can you just give us your tips? And then you can just have an entire listicle piece of content with everybody on there. And, I did this once for, I think it was talking about productivity tips. And I asked my network, I went into that group, WP Elevation, and I said, hey, everybody, I'm doing a blog post. I'd love to get your input on what's your top productivity tip? And so everybody just answered in the Facebook group. I grabbed those quotes. I made little social media graphics with their name and their quote, made them look super fancy and like I was quoting a superstar. And then I started sharing those on social media. I made it into a blog post and then sent it out on Facebook and LinkedIn. And guess what? People started sharing that because everybody loves to share when they've been quoted. And so you really start bringing in your community in kind of a meaningful way for you, but also a meaningful way for them. Because now you've elevated them and highlighted them, and everybody wants to feel like they're special. So this is where we can come back. And remember, we talked about that the ultimate guide too, right? So this is what we do. All these pieces of content that we've just made, we can take that and put it all together into one piece of content. You've got we're going to talk about the ultimate guide to surviving the middle miles. What are the middle miles? You've got clips that you can, quotes and snippets you can pull out of that first piece of content. Why is it so important? You are special, Tricia. You can grab from the why is it important. Then you've also got your infographic that you can embed and possibly a video. Did you guest post with anybody? Did anybody interview you on this topic? All of these things. We've got our, how did you manage the emotional drain? And you've got your quick tips. So all of this into one really great piece of content that other people can now link to and use as a resource. And it all comes back to our content starters. These are really, really great. It's a great tool to use because it's so simple and you can use it over and over and over and over again. And it works for just about anybody. Oh, I think I added a whole bunch of self-promotion things here. But what we're going to do now is we're going to go live with Tara. We're going to talk to somebody and we're going to build out a month's content calendar with someone here live. All right.
Awesome.
Ready?
All right. So if you guys wouldn't mind heading over to the QA tab at the top of that list. And if anyone's willing to offer up, jump into the conversation, that would be awesome. And then April can step in and she can help you to create. Did you say a year's worth of content?
Well, I'm going to show you how to use this system to do a year, but we're going to do the next month live.
Okay, so not 365 days this time around.
No. But you can use this. You can use this over and over and over again.
Yeah. Do we have any volunteers? Otherwise, I will just.
Yeah, or I'm going to nominate somebody because I can see y'all. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we got a QA. Oh, I knew Erica was going to be up for this. You're the best.
Erica.
Okay, how the heck do I promote her?
Okay, so I think I can actually do it. I'm going to make her a presenter.
Oh, yay.
All right, Erica, can you hear us? Okay. You got to turn on your audio so that we can hear you.
So maybe head up to the top of the screen, Erica, and then click on the microphone.
Thanks. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes. Hi.
There we go. Hi. I'm going to try and keep the playing children in the background to a bare minimum.
Oh, well, what can you do?
I just had a conversation with my son. I said, "Can you please put some clothes on in case you forget and you walk into please."
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about the microphone there. It just took me a sec. Yeah. So nice to meet you, April. I am sort of early in my startup. I have a business where I am a consultant for home owners who are renovating. I've been a real estate developer for 10 years and have shifted in the last year or so to helping people with their own plans. It's like getting their planning together, their head on about their renovation. Should you even do it? And what are the real estate ramifications? What are the pitfalls that happen with it? And I jumped in, and Tara has given me lots of good advice as time goes on, but I jumped into social media and blogging, and I did my own website, so I'm sort of doing this all myself. It has to kind of be partly because of budgets and partly because of my brand. It's all me writing it and all me creating it and me managing it. And yeah, I definitely am feeling the guilt. And I'm also trying to figure out that blend of how much advice to give away, because my product is something people don't know about. They don't even know it is a thing, and would find out later after they've had a terrible renovation experience that it would have been helpful to have my advice. It would have saved them time and money. So I want to get that information out there and also show who I am, because I feel like part of the experience is that I'm a relatable, fun person. So it went heavy on Instagram, and I'm feeling guilt right now because I haven't posted anything today, so I'm definitely needing to get better. I've got the free version of a later account. I just started with Facebook. Like, I haven't been a person who's heavy into social media prior to this. So I would love to have some ideas about how to be more consistent and regular and professional. I think I've done a decent job with that thus far, but it is definitely like, yeah, I'm a real person, and boy, you sure see it. And I'd like to get it a little sharper.
So one of the things that I find that's been really helpful to me and I do more for managing my clients' content than I do for myself. And I think we're all a little guilty of that sometimes. And what I have found is that if I have a structure and I step-by-step plan, it kind of I'm not starting over every time I try to do a post or that I'm trying to make a piece of content, right? I'm not like staring at a blank page because I already have a plan. So tell me the name. What's the service? You're a home improvement consultant, or is there a title?
I don't have a specific title that I've been consistent with. What I like to say is, the name of my company is Perch, and I say advice, advocacy, planning. I'm trying to get away from home renovation consultant because I think that may give people like kind of the wrong idea. I'd like to make sure that I'm getting to my clients before they break ground, before they start. It's more the big picture planning, and I feel like I don't want to be, and I will jump in and help someone figure out how to communicate with their contractor and the tile in the bathroom isn't right, whatever, and solve problems on site. But I'm not so much a project manager as helping you with the big picture beforehand.
Okay.
And that's the challenge I have in communicating the message ahead of time, because people don't really realize that they can do that.
So what I hear, if I had to distill that down into a few words, what I hear is home improvement planning advocate. And does that make any sense for you? If we're talking about, hold on a second. Looks like my internet's getting a little wonky, so I apologize ahead of time. If we were to talk about what that means to your clientele, would that make sense?
Sure. Yeah, I think so.
Or what if we just said, why do you need an advocate? Or why do you so we need to define kind of like when we're talking to your clients, your potential clients, we need to have a language that we've agreed on that means something, right? And this is probably where you're really struggling, because if you can't decide on the title, then you're maybe not really sure on how people will look for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think people don't know to look for it, and they don't. The words that I've used to describe it thus far are shooting people off in a different direction. And I can explain it all day long, and then people are like, "Oh, so you're a designer?" And I'm like, "Well, I might do some design for you, but I'm not really a designer." So you're and then you're a contractor. Nope, I'm not going to do the work for you. I don't know if this is useful to your example for the person you need to volunteer to help
No,
create
no, it's
content
fine.
for. So I don't mean to
Right,
get
no. Because sometimes clarifying your content clarifies more than just your content, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
one of the things we're wanting to do is what ultimately we're trying to do is to solve a pain, right? And turn a pain into a pleasure. That is our ultimate primal goal that we're doing when we're helping our clients, right? So what is the pain that your service is providing?
The exhaustion.
Or pain that you're
and
helping get out of.
Right. I'm helping to solve the exhaustion and overwhelm that is caused by doing a renovation. Like you don't even know if you should do it. And I'm giving you clarity and information so that you can make the best decision for you.
Okay. This sounds really similar to kind of what I was talking about the middle miles. So we're talking about renovation exhaustion, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's use that as one of our themes.
That's a good idea. That's great.
Okay. And do y'all see how we came to that? We want to first talk about like what we're offering. Then we want to talk about who our audience is. And then we want to bridge that difference through finding what is their pain and how we can solve that pain, right? But first we need to talk about it. So let's just say renovation exhaustion is our main goal. Now let's get a little personal. Is there something personally that you're working on in your own life that it would help you to kind of have burning in the back as you're working on this project?
Meaning burning in the back, like a project of my own that's of my own home for my own home?
No, I think it's a project as in yourself as a project, right? So for me, I'm working on emotional management and procrastination.
Yeah.
And the reason we do this, and it's not just to be too woo-woo, but we care more about content that we make that's personal, that it gives it an extra layer of substance that people can connect to, right? Because everybody struggles with something, and you don't have to say, I'm struggling with this, right? At no point when I'm talking about the middle miles am I saying I'm struggling with emotional management. But as I'm writing this content, I'm helping myself because I'm working in a positive way through my own issues, right? So,
yeah.
And you don't have to tell me a real one. You can make one up if you want.
No, I have plenty of real ones, and I'm sort of an oversharer, so it's totally cool. Well, when I do post about sometimes in my Insta, so it's reflected a bit already in my feed, is that I think like a lot of working mothers, I feel like I'm not doing justice to any of the roles that I play. And so I post sometimes a picture about something I've seen in nature, and it's on a walk with my kids, like, so and I'm speaking to the fact that I'm trying to find a good work-life balance and still, be a good mother. And I think that actually a lot of my ideal clients fall into that category of many roles and specifically parenting, because a lot of them are in that phase of life.
Right.
So, and that's not, I'm not the first person to come up with that theme for sure. But I think that where I'm swimming in that world, both in my friends and a lot of the type of people that I am are the type of people I'm trying to reach as my clients.
Okay, so let's talk about life balance, right? And so those can be our themes. We can talk about, and actually I've got a spreadsheet. I'm going to share my screen with y'all. Okay. Can y'all see the spreadsheet here? It's just a Google sheet.
Yeah, it's a little small for me. I can't quite see the text.
So there, you might have to, there's a, I think a viewing option at the top of your screen where maybe you can make this part larger. Is that, or let's see if I can make mine super big.
Sorry, I'm trying.
Okay. Okay, what about that? Can you see that?
Ooh, yeah, that's much better.
Okay. All right. So we have, you know, basically all these content starters, I just listed them down, right? We just saw this. And then I broke it down by content type, just because they kind of tend to correspond, and by published date. And then at the bottom, how we're going to go retroactively. So I think, honestly, if we're talking about work-life balance and renovation exhaustion, I think really we could just go with renovation exhaustion because it really kind of speaks to a loss of balance. Would you agree?
Yeah, totally.
All right, so we're going to, this is our theme, and we're just going to put it here so we can keep this front and center. Okay, so now we're just going to start going through these content starters and just filling out these questions, okay? And it's really this easy. What is renovation exhaustion?
And you're asking me to answer here.
No, I'm going to fill these out for you.
Oh, I love it. Okay.
Because we're literally just answering the questions, right? Okay. So why does renovation exhaustion happen? Right? Okay. How to avoid renovation exhaustion? Right? Okay. Now, who, not how. This is how you can help your clients avoid this, right? So what do you do? And if you had to, in one sentence or, you know, a statement, how do you help them avoid renovation exhaustion?
I help them, I educate them on pitfalls, and I'm just terrible at this in the moment, turns out.
I can help. Can I help?
Yeah, help me. You know my background.
Well, what Erica does is she brings all of her resources to the table, so people can not cut corners cheaply, but in the sense that she already has a short list of how to achieve various goals. So when you tap Erica, you essentially have access to her connections and the experiences that she's, I mean, I'm making this very wordy.
Okay.
But I think that you provide a direct line in a way that people can save a shitload of time. That was helpful. I'm going to mute myself.
No, that's great.
No,
I mean,
that was helpful.
How do we turn this statement into something that would be a headline and incorporates what you just said? Okay. And so we have to, you know, a home improvement planning advocate. So whatever that word that you use, whatever you call yourself, right? Or how, and in fact, you could just skip that altogether and say, how can Perch help avoid renovation pitfalls?
Awesome.
All right. Okay. Now, what is a very opposite or provocative view you could take right here?
So opposite view from the fact that people would need this help.
Because you want to push away the people who aren't for you.
Right. I think a lot of people that are clients, especially when they're a pair of people that are usually, you know, a hetero couple, it typically breaks down. And this, I don't mean to go stereotypes, but there is one person who's in favor of getting some help with this renovation. And then there's one person who's like, no, we can do all this research ourselves. We don't need to hire yet another person. We're already going to be hiring all of these different professionals. And this is just one more. And it's, you know, like if it's not even a thing yet, why does it need to be? Why do we need to pay another person? And that's kind of what I'm working against all the time in convincing new clients to come on board.
Mm-hmm.
Is like, yeah, you could do it yourself. You totally could do it yourself, but it's going to take you way longer and you're going to make a ton of mistakes. And I've already made all those mistakes for you. And I'm coherent enough to be able to explain to you what they are and help you make the decisions to avoid them, to hire the right people, to make, you know, to make the decision that's going to save you on your budget, etc.
So let's be really provocative and say, can your marriage survive your renovation?
Yeah, that's a good one. That is very good.
Yeah. Because then you can start talking about, you know, the biggest thing is that one person wants it, one person doesn't. But the real question is whether your marriage can survive the renovation at all, because a lot of marriages break down during this period of time, and how having someone to come in can actually be an investment in your marriage.
Yeah.
Right. So you see how we got that? We just went right for the jugular, right? I mean,
yeah,
not being, you know, disgraceful. We want to be elegant, but we want to actually really help people, right? And sometimes getting that shock, if I'm planning a renovation and I saw that, I'd be like, oof, okay, maybe I should read that.
Oh, April, you hit the nail on the head. I had a client once hand me a card for a marriage counselor because they were struggling with this process of planning, and she had just finished school, and she was like, you might need this for other people.
Yes, it's a real, and if you approach it like that, like your service could really keep families together, right? Now you're not just helping people, you know, with their home, like you're providing a human necessary service, right? And that we're going to keep going with that.
I love
so then we go on your webinar. You know, you can, maybe you want to do a Facebook Live or a webinar, or how could you engage somebody if we want to continue going through this, talking about exhaustion, talking about marriage. You know, maybe you could actually get a therapist on a Zoom call or do a webinar and talk about this. You know, say, I've had a client who, you know, they handed me the card and said that this was so hard on their marriage that I probably needed to, you know, share this card, you know, share this knowledge with somebody else. Let's talk about that. Right.
Yeah.
And because I think now you're going deeper and deeper and deeper. So let's like, okay, interview a marriage therapist. Okay. Now we can also do, we're going to do a blog post that's just like a listicle, right? 15 things that, you know, Perch can help you with, or even because you kind of want to, like, that would be our default. But maybe even 15 renovation pitfalls that can be easily avoided. Or what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, those things are found everywhere about renovation.
All right, so what would your spin on that be?
Yeah, I would have to do something that 15 things you didn't know that, you know, like things that are not listed in those things, you know, that are not obvious. 15 things that would surprise you that Perch could help you with. 15 surprising things Perch can help you solve.
So we kind of want to keep your name out of the title because we want it to be, because somebody's not going to know that Perch is going to help them with their thing. So maybe 15 ways your renovation will surprise you, good and bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also wonder if you want to be New England specific, right? Speaking to some of the issues that are particularly poignant in this area, Erica. I'm not sure.
Maybe. I mean,
add specificity to it. I don't know.
I debate about that a little bit because I'm hoping that some of the stuff that I'm putting out now will endure, and I'm hoping that some of this is universal enough that I could start. I mean, if I'm going to be non-location specific for now because I'm forced to. And of course, yeah, I'm not going to have necessarily, I'm not going to be able to refer someone out to a builder in, say, California, but like I am helping someone in San Francisco. I think I could maybe make this a little bit less location specific over time. But that doesn't mean I can't be more specific in one listicle. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I think too, the more I'm looking at this is kind of transcendent content, I think. Like you're not just going to be talking to people who are in your local area, although you are going to be building authority in your local area. But I think this kind of speaks to a greater audience as well. I think you could build this type of content plan into making you kind of like a home authority, like how certain people are for flipping houses or certain people are in the building community. You know, we really need to talk about the human side of building, and that could be something that you could, you know, really carve out your space in, because not a lot of people are talking about that. All right. So now we're going to, so you've written a 3 to, let's just say 700 word article on each one of these, right? So we now know what renovation exhaustion is. We know why it happens. We know how to avoid it. We know how Perch can help you avoid it. We know like really what's at stake, and we have validated what is at stake. And now we have kind of lightened the mood back up again, right? So now we can take little bits of all of this and create a like really great resource for people to view when they're going through this. And you can say, oh my God, I've been there. I'm in the middle of it right now, or I just came out of it. I know I need to do a renovation, but the last experience was so bad. I don't think we can handle it again, right? This is the kind of resource that's going to be there for that person to let them know that they're not alone, and how you have just really hammered them over the head with your authority with all this information. Okay. So, and really all you're doing is you can hand all of this off to a writer and say, please give me a 2,000 word article that includes all of this in, you know, including the infographic, and add in some new imagery. Okay. This is doable. Do you feel like that is a plan that you could move all the way through?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I feel like I've been poised to do this basic thing for a while and just needed more structure around it.
Yes. So let's go a little bit deeper in this plan. So if you're doing keyword research, if you're, hooked up with someone who's doing search engine optimization, and I'm sure AlchemyThree could help you with that, but there is you're going to have a list of keywords that you're trying to optimize your content for, correct? So you can have your keywords even here. Say, we're really working this month on, let's just say, home improvement, right? Is your keyword that you're trying to, and I'm just making that up. You know, you can change that later. But so that's the keyword. So that way you can make sure that when you're writing your content, you're not having to cast about and think about what are you actually supposed to be including. As you're doing your content plan, you just put these keywords right here. So when you refer back to it, everything's here in the same place. Now, at the end of your content, you're going to want some type of call to action. Okay. Because I see a lot of people just writing content and then there's nothing. They don't ask them to do anything. You just gave all of this value, but then you didn't tell them where to go or what to think. Right. Yeah. So we want each piece of content to have some type of call to action. And so if you have in your plan at week 1, right? So we're back here at the weeks. All right. And you can say, week 1, we're going to do an email sign up. And then on the next one, we're going to say, we're going to use maybe we don't do this as a blog post. Maybe this is a social media post, right? And our call to action is read more on the blog, and you're sending them back to this piece of content.
Okay.
Then you've got another email sign up. And then when you go to the how can I help, instead of sending them to an email sign up or, to read something else, you want to directly call now or book an appointment, right? Because I'm telling you, I can help you, and you need to go ahead and take me up on that. Then you continue. Maybe can your marriage survive a renovation? This is something that needs to be shared, right? So you're wanting to get people to comment and engage on this. Interview a marriage therapist. When you're doing live stuff or like really video, this is a great way to get people to join your Facebook group. Put it in, put the notice on your Facebook page and say, hey, we're going to be going live with so-and-so inside the Facebook group. Join in if you are interested. And it's a good way to drive interaction. Then you can continue, and then you can also embed that into your blog post as well, right? And any of these others. Then we've got your listicle. That's also really great for sharing on social media, and you want to comment or engage. Now, I have another little layer to this, which I call relationship builds, because I believe that building your relationships with your strategic partners is going to really help your content come alive, because it's going to get shared. You're going to increase the conversation around it, and you're going to strengthen those relationships alone, because, like Tara and I are spending much more time together this week as we were planning this, and it gives us something to talk about, and it gives us something to do for each other. And so we are building our relationship while we're creating this content. So week by week, we have some things that you can do to build your network. So the first thing, like week one, maybe I'm going to quote one of my strategic partners, right? Maybe, maybe next one, I'm going to cite a partner resource, right? Do you have a vendor that you work with a lot? And, maybe there's something that they have in some of their content that you can refer back to. There's just all these things you can link. Now, when you're going to do a direct call to action, you want to skip that week. You want to keep all of that love for yourself. And then, so you can kind of see how this goes. Now, there's one that's I like to call the stars reach and moon landing. So you hear like, well, if you reach for the stars, you'll at least you won't, come up with dirt. But I like to say it, because you're going to be doing this plan every month. I like to at least try to get the top person, in this on this topic, ask them for a quote, right? So who would this be? I don't know. Maybe this would be Brene Brown, right? That would be a ridiculous ask for most of us. But if you do a ridiculous ask 12 times, at one point, you're going to get somebody who's going to be generous, and they're going to give you a quote. And then that's going to be huge for you. So there's no reason not to just, hey, this is just part of my thing. I know it's probably not going to work out, but I'm going to send out a request for quotes, to one or two of the top, people in this field. And I'm going to ask them for a quote. That it probably won't happen today, but at some point in the next 6 to 12 months, you're going to land an excellent quote. And then guess what? That can go on your homepage. That can be tweeted out on your social media. So it's all part of the plan, and you don't have to have a lot of feelings about it, because it's just a part of the plan. Okay, today I'm going to do this thing, right? Don't have to psych yourself up for it. You just have to do it, right? So you keep going. So this would be your plan for June, right? And we just sit down. Do you think you could put together 300 words on what renovation exhaustion is?
Yeah.
Boom, done. All right, then we go and do the next one. And you could sit down. I mean, this took us about 20 minutes, but I mean, could you sit down for 20 minutes and fill out this form, to have your plan for the next month? Super easy, right? I mean, it's not necessarily easy, but it is simple.
Yeah, at least it's straightforward, it gives you a plan.
Absolutely. And then you just jump to the next month, copy all the, copy the blank spots, post it in there, and then you sit down. And honestly, if you did once a quarter, sat down and just did your plan for the full quarter, it might take you an hour.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my question here is, depending on how often, and I suppose this will vary by industry.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've got my website. I can put my blog, I've got a blog. I've got, I haven't started doing any webinars, so that'll be a bit of a lift for me on the first one. I haven't started doing email blasts yet. So these things are going to be kind of like newbie things on the first one. But as far as social media posts, you've got this plan. How does this fit in with what, if you're posting daily on Instagram, or you have random things that are happening maybe on Facebook? I don't have a Facebook group yet. I had been eyeballing that. I've been many times recommended to do that by Tara, of course. Just like, how often is that smaller kind of social posting going, and how does that fit within this calendar we just created? I guess the stuff that isn't necessarily as directed and surgical as this is.
Well, I like to be very directed and surgical with that as well. And I think that's an excellent question. And one of the things I like to do, and I have what I call like my social media litmus test. When I'm making a piece of content, I like to make sure I have at least 8 things that I could tweet out of that content, right? So just like 8 little phrases or sentences that I could pull out that are a complete thought that I could then pair with an original image and send out. Okay, and I do this with a Twitter, Facebook, and then I take probably one of those images and then I, make it for Instagram as well. Now, it's not 100% original for each platform. But what it does is give you a good foundation so that you can come in and do platform specific things that are really amazing, but you have a good foundation. Now, you might think, well, I don't want to spam people, right? By putting out so much stuff. But you don't see everybody's stuff, right? Nobody's going to see all your stuff. The feeds run so fast, and especially on Twitter, you could post there 15 times a day and people are not going to feel spammed because it just runs and runs and runs. But I would do like, if you're doing a post, one thing on Instagram, and then every day on Facebook, and multiple times a day on Twitter. And you can set this up. You can even hire somebody to take your content and say, and you just pull out the pieces and say, give me an original image for this, and just schedule it out. And I actually have on WordPress.tv, if you look up my name, I have a whole training on how to automate your social media from this content plan.
Heck to the yes. Hi, I'm back. I was going to say that, I can't help myself. God, I need to I'm like, Tara, just wait a second. Missing letter, April, would you agree? Do you ever use, you and I tend to geek out on the tools, but I love where you're going with this, that concept of and it's evergreen content as well, right? Which we always need to be we need to be thinking about is when we create unique content for us and for our brand, we want to make sure that we're pushing that out regularly, kind of taking it and shredding it and repurposing that content so that it does get seen. It doesn't make sense to publish a blog, create a post, and have it go out one time, because that's just going to disappear.
Yes. And you can find people also, you don't have to create all your own content, right? You can find people that you really trust their content and put their content on auto repost. There was a good portion of time this last year I wasn't posting my own stuff, but I had Tara's blog on repost, right? I'm just like, because I trust what she puts and I know she gets good value, so I'm just going to share her stuff, Then
exactly. If there's trusted content out there, like for me, HubSpot is pretty dependable. There's a couple of graphic design blogs and, print.com and, what are some of the social media? There's Social Media Examiner. There's so many things out there that I know that they nail it every single time. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be applicable to my brand. And so, in Hootsuite, I know you can just grab the RSS feed and stick the hashtags in there. And sorry if this is over your heads a little bit, guys. You're welcome to shoot me a message if you want to learn more. I can get kind of geeky, but there are tools to help you largely automate the drudgery of social media.
Right. And it does seem really overwhelming when you think about all the things you can do, but just like this content calendar, you just do one piece at a time and you just keep layering and layering and layering. And once you have a plan, then you're just reacting the plan every month.
Absolutely. And make sure that you document that process so that you don't feel like you're reinventing the wheel every single time, right? Like, oh God, how did I do this last month or last quarter or however far you're working into that plan? Document it, even make yourself a short video. And then who knows, when you can hire a virtual assistant to come in and do some of these things on your behalf, you can just hand them that process.
Yes.
That's what I like.
Yeah, it's been really great.
All right. Well, Erica, are you still on or did you
I'm here. I had
right. Thank you so much for being our guinea pig and for raising your hand and running through that. I hope that was helpful. Was that helpful, Erica?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
I feel like I learned some stuff. That Excel spreadsheet's pretty rocking.
Well,
Totally.
if you like content, boy, do we have for you.
Yeah. Okay. I'm so glad you said that because as I sort of mentioned up top, but I want to go into a bit more detail here now. April is hosting on the 2nd of May a content conference. A remote will you please?
Content Control Summit.
Thank you. Yes, Content Control Summit.
Mm-hmm.
She had done a 2-day conference 3 weeks ago.
About 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was not that long ago. So this is a 1-day event. There's going to be some great speakers. I get to speak, which is very exciting. And it's going to be all about content.
The whole day.
The entire day. And it's completely free. And it is super fun. And it's a nice way for us to kind of connect with one another and virtually hang out. There's a lot of that loss of connection at the moment. So this is a great way to learn some stuff, dig in, and get some ideas rolling, right? Because some of us have a little extra time and we may as well make use of that time and connect with others all over the world. Why not? This is going to be amazing. It's an amazing platform. It's an amazing event. So please come. I'm going to add details in the group. Free registration. Why not?
Yeah, we look forward to it. It's going to be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to what I'm going to learn because I always level up when I'm around really smart people, and all these guys are really fantastic and gals.
Yeah, I'm second guess. Don't forget the ladies.
No.
All right, April, you're amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us. You're the best. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And you will get the replay soon, and I will catch you in the group. Peace out. Bye, April. Love you.
Bye.